Hey, it's Miles at Tactical Hyve, and today we have a special video for you where we are going to go over and compare all of the 9mm platforms that Glock has in production currently and put them through a number of different tests to kind of see what the differences are, what the pros and cons are, what type of gun might be best suited for type of person, size, or the application. And to help out, brought a great team of experts to put all these guns to the test. And I'll start just down the line here. Shane Coley, he's the team captain for Glock. We have Matt Mellinger, he is the lead instructor at the Glock store. Bill DC, he's a concealed carry expert and the owner of CCW USA. We have Mark Cocciolo, a retired Navy SEAL, as well as Greg Hakey, a retired Navy SEAL. And they're all going to put as I mentioned, the Glock 9mm to the test. And we have this diverse lineup because we have people we have an expert as a professional shooter. We have two experts who are professional firearms instructors, and we have two retired veterans. And so it's going to be great to have their diverse take. Now, this video is going to be a kind of a summary or kind of leading up to an article that we're creating. So this is really just a behind the scenes look to getting all the data and all of the information we need for the articles. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video. We shot the Glock 43, 43X, 48, the Glock 26, the Glock 19, 19X, Glock 45, the Glock 17, the 17L, and the Glock 34, 10 platforms in total. We took 5 subject matter experts, and over the course of a day, we took all 9mm pistols through their paces through a series of exercises. The idea behind our review was to see how each shooter performed with each pistol so that we can get a better idea of the strengths and weaknesses of each platform, ultimately serving as a buyer's guide so that you can make an informed decision when you buy your next Glock. Each subject matter expert ran through the same course of fire for testing and evaluation. With each model, they drew from the holster for a total of 3 iterations, 6 shots total per gun. This was done from 3 and 7 yards at a 6-inch standard Hyve target. For every pistol and subject matter expert, we recorded the times of each iteration and measured the grouping spread. For our testing, we used the same Fiocchi 115 grain ammo through the day. All subject matter experts shot very well, but each one had a few zingers here and there, which ultimately affected our average spread for each pistol.
Oh shit! Way off! 191.
Good for you. You shot me right in the arm. Like I should be twice.
Our complete article will highlight the data for all subject matter experts and all pistols at each distance. However, this video will focus on 3 categories: compact, mid-size, and full-size competition pistols. We started out with the pistol models that many people use for concealed carry. They were the 19, 26, 43, 43X, and 48. Each subject matter expert drew each pistol from concealment at 3 yards with the same course of fire. We noticed that the 19 is superior in terms of average times and groupings. However, it is considerably larger than the other pistols and more difficult to conceal. We noticed that the Glock 26 had the second best average groupings, followed closely by the Glock 43. We found this to be one of the biggest surprises of the day, seeing as how the 26 and 43 outperformed the 48 and 43X. We then moved on to the mid through full-size competition platforms. Each subject matter expert drew from an overt duty style holster at 7 yards, firing 2 shots at a 6-inch Hyve target for 3 iterations. It was clear from the data that the 19X performed the best with an average draw time of 1.95 seconds and an average grouping of 4.6 inches. We expected our subject matter experts to shoot as well with the 45, but the average spread for the 45 was increased by an inch because of some zingers. Finally, we moved on to the full-sized big boys, which were the 17, 17L, and 34, using, again, the same course of fire as the mid-sized pistols. Surprisingly, the Glock 17 performed the best with an average draw time of 1.98 seconds and an average spread of 3.95 inches. We feel that this is due to the longer sight radius on both the 34 and 17L. The added length and weight makes the draw to the first shot more unwieldy for those who do not train with the longer slide pistols regularly. Supporting this thought, if we take a look at Shane's spreads among the full-size pistols, we can see that he performed best with the 17 and performed worst with the 17L, which has the longest barrel. Matt's performance, however, didn't coincide with the trend we noticed with the others. He performed best with the Glock 34 by far rather than the Glock 17. From the day we noticed there wasn't a clear winner. The shot grouping was less than a 2-inch difference between the tightest and widest shot pattern at 7 yards among the mid to full-size guns. In terms of speed, the times varied from 1.9 to 2.1 seconds, which from a practical standpoint is more or less the same. Overall, we were surprised that all 10 platforms performed about the same. Knowing this, based on a review, selecting the right Glock should come down to your hand size, body type, and what feels most comfortable to you. Keep in mind, all subject matter experts have a lot of shooting experience. However, their experience level specifically working with Glocks varies greatly. We had Shane, who is a competitive shooter for Glock, versus Coach and Greg, former operators who have a lot of shooting experience but hardly any with Glocks. These are some of the highlights about what the subject matter experts liked and disliked about each platform. Keep your eyes out in the coming weeks for unedited versions of their thoughts on each pistol.
Now, me being a competitive shooter, my go-to is, of course, going to be the 17L, the G34, because that's what I compete with the most. So the 34 is my favorite pistol that we have in the lineup, just because, like I said, that's what I compete most with. It's got the longer sight radius. The trigger in it's amazing. The grip itself is amazing, and the gun overall just shoots very well for what we do in competition. You have quick follow-up shots, and it serves that purpose extremely well. As far as concealed carry, I personally like the G43X. Because we increased the size of the frame over the 43, and it still has the same slide length as the 43, it gives me more real estate when I'm shooting this gun, so I'm able to control the recoil a little bit more. So this is what I use for concealed carry every single day. But through the test today, surprisingly enough, I have not shot the 48 very much, because I've spent so much time training with the 43X that I actually shot surprisingly well with this gun. Before, I preferred the 43X over this gun just because it had the shorter slide. But after today, or being able to shoot it again in this test, I was very impressed with how well I shot with it. So I may actually start going back to this a little bit and start rotating back and forth between the 43X and the 48.
Ones I like the best, I gotta go into the 19. I'm most familiar with that, so it was the most comfortable in my hand. However, I shot really good with the 17, the 19, and surprisingly the 45X. And the 45X actually, 19X. Okay, let me get my numbers right. I'm most familiar with the 19 and a little bit with the 17. But what's surprising to me is I found that the 19X and the 45, basically a different number for two different colors, but slightly shorter on the slide, which, for us, this is where your weight is. The polymer weighs almost nothing and gives you a little more capacity, but it cuts down a little bit on the weight. And honestly, I shot it as good or maybe just a tad better than the 19. Yeah, so the 43X, right? This one here, I would probably go with this one as a carry gun. Both of these fit really fine. This one was really too small for my hands. Okay, you got a smaller hand, you might be able to use that. This one, my hand fit really well. And this one has a slightly longer slide barrel, but depending on what you're doing, if you don't mind that little extra weight, either one of these would be just good for me. Overall, a bunch of good guns. I had a great time today. If anybody wants to give me a Glock, I'll take it.
I shot best with the I think this is 17 right here. I shot best with the 17 and what is this here? The 26, which is ironic because I'd never shot with either of them prior to today. I don't often shoot concealed. Today was the most concealed carry shooting I've ever done, which was very humbling. But the 17 I shot really well with. It's a nice full-size pistol profile. It works pretty well. I really liked it. And then the 26, for whatever reason, it just felt really comfortable in my hands and shot really well with that. Conceptually, my favorite is the 19th variant because it's close to a full size, but it can conceal relatively easily. It still has a high capacity magazine, which I certainly need in order to hit the target. And that's one that I have at home. Granted, I didn't shoot as well with that as I did the other two variants that I pointed out earlier.
I found out, kind of a surprise for me was the 34 here today. I shot a really good string with the 34, and You know, the 34 is kind of the factory race gun, and you have a little bit longer sight radius, you have a 1 pound lighter trigger, and you do have extended controls there, so it's kind of sets itself up and it lends itself more for a competition type setting. So that actually came through today when we were under a little stress and pressure doing our test. That shot a really good group and a really fast group with the 34. I just contributed that because this is a tool used for that, just that, competition shooting. When you go across the spectrum here, my personal favorite has always been the 17. I think the 17 does everything well. And the only reason I'd have a smaller gun is because I want to conceal it. So the 17 is a full-size duty gun. It just comes through all the time for me. I love this gun. Full-size grip, nice long sight radius, excellent gun. Going down the line here, the 19 is it's the most popular gun that we sell. It fits into a lot of applications. And this is a great gun because it's a fighting size weapon. It's still large enough to make very good shots with, but it's also compact. So if you're carrying it on your gear, your kit, it's a lighter gun, which every ounce really counts when you do that. So this is a very, very special gun, and a lot of people love it. When it comes to needing a tool for your everyday carry, Glock came out first with the 43, which is a great gun. I love the 43, but it had a little bit to be desired. And one of those things where the 43 is a great weapon, but it only has 6 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, so it has 7 rounds. And the grip comes up short on people with a little larger hands. I got medium-sized hands. It still feels a little short. It's not as fast to grip when you come out of the holster from a concealment situation. So out they came with the 43X. And the 43X has just been amazing. I think this is, personally for me, this is the ultimate carry gun. I shot well with it today along with everybody else for the most part. And it's got a little longer handle. It's just a little bit thicker, allowing for a much nicer purchase and also allowing for a 10 round capacity, which is 10 plus 1, which is actually a huge deal when you're carrying. Rounds definitely do count.
So the Glock 19, like I said, one of my favorite guns. The main thing I like about it is it's a good compromise. It's similar grip size to the 17 and some of the larger guns, a little bit larger, a little wider grip frame, so it just fits my hand really well. I'm able to lock in on that gun. I have more practice, more training, more experience shooting this gun. The Gen 5 Glock has a really nice textured finish. I like that. The grip texturing on there, I like the way it fits. I like the way the Glock fits in the hand. I like the way I can get the two-handed grip. I like shooting it right hand, left hand. When we get down to the compact concealed carry guns, these are the most popular concealed carry guns that we see. The 43, the 43X, and the 48. I'm a huge fan of the 48. In fact, that was the gun I shot the best today. It is my concealed carry gun. It is my favorite Glock right now, although it's a very close second to the 19. That 43 just has all the combination of factors that make it very concealable, make it very usable, and it operates fantastic. 10 round capacity, you know, plus 1 in the chamber. You got a full load of rounds. Your spare magazine is 10 rounds. Sum it all up, big fan of Glocks. These are some of my favorite guns. I trust my life to these weapons. The one thing I noticed is no malfunctions. No gun-related malfunctions on the range today. The nice thing about Glocks is they run flawlessly. As long as you don't tinker with them too much, you don't do anything to them to make them, you know, modify them, unless it's a competition gun, which I'm fine with that. You know, all the bells and whistles, bling that thing out. But for your concealed carry guns, keep them stock, keep them simple, maybe a set of night sights. That's probably all I would recommend adding to your Glock, other than ammunition and time on the range training.
So it was a great day of shooting, and it was really cool to see all these experts try all the 9mm and to observe the differences in speed as well as the groupings. And this really does serve as a jump point for those who are thinking about buying a 9mm Glock. And I hope that the information is valuable, that you find the insights from all of our experts valuable as well. And as a reminder, if you do want to get all the stats, all the data, everything that we recorded during our tests, make sure to check out the article on our site.